Bank robbing is not that common these days, especially when it comes to the modern day. Now most banks today get their money stolen virtually or get scammed, but even then they still get arrested at one point or another. But was it always like this? Back in the day of the Prohibition, violent crimes were all but commonplace, but one specific case stands out among the rest. Our story starts off in Montreal, Kansas, where a group of 3 armed men entered a car and set out to the First National Bank in Lamar, Colorado. It's a normal day until about 1 p.m. when Ralph Fleagle, his brother Jake Fleagle, George W. Abishire, and Howard Heavy Royston all enter the bank, guns drawn. The bank president, A. N. Parrish, was in his office. Once he heard the commotion, Parrish grabbed his reliable .45 Colt. He called Old Betsy. He made his way towards the bank door, and then one bullet hit Royston in the jaw. Parrish would get shot by one of the bank robbers, as well as one other employee would get hit in the crossfire. The bank robbers would end up collecting $223,000 in cash. The robbers would end up trying to escape in a Buckmaster 6 with law enforcement in hot pursuit. The robbers would end up getting away by disabling the sheriff's car. Royston was still needing medical attention for this bullet wound received to the jaw. The gang would trick a local doctor to coming out of his home in Dighton, Kansas, by telling him a young boy's foot had been crushed underneath a tractor. When Dr. W. Weininger arrived at the scene, he treated Royston, but was later tied up, taken to the back of the ranch, where he would later be shot in the head. The gang would take Weininger's body to a ravine north of Scott City, Kansas. They would then throw him into the ravine. The bank robbers would divide the money amongst each other, and then went their separate ways. All of them would escape for the time being. The Federal Bureau of Investigation would dive into this case. Ultimately, the feds would end up finding fingerprints on a car that belonged to Dr. Weininger. These fingerprints would later belong to Jake Fleagle. Soon Jake would be found by Detective Paul Queel after a massive stockpile of weapons was found in Jake Fleagle's rental home. Ralph Fleagle was arrested first in Kankakee, Illinois, and after flying in Kansas and being booked in Lamar, he was later taken to Colorado Springs, where he would eventually confess. Being a bank robber is no easy work, and it's not really even work. Today, it's just a crime. Today, we look back at video games and movies and tell the incredible stories of people doing the impossible and taking down banks. Most of them would end up in the same way, either in the slammer or living a life of crime on the run. So the takeaway of the story is this: don't break the law, because you may get away with it a million times, but in reality, it only takes one time to end up in a life of prison.